Everybody.
So I am so excited about this interview. I have my best friend, the gospel extraordinaire, the man who helped me with my baby boy. That's why we best friends. We have Brandon Furrowh.
What's going on?
The deputy director of Hilltop.
You just learned that 30 seconds ago.
I did. Right.
So you're a deputy?
And Jay, tell us your connections.
Well, no, my dad ran Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center for like 30, 40 years. So it's actually really cool for me to see someone who's picked up and carried the baton, and I'm sure, carrying it properly. So, there's a certain connection there that I'm actually excited to talk about.
Yeah, your dad is Hilltop.
I appreciate that. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot. So this is a surprise sort of live episode tonight here in the Casita.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you set it off. Yeah.
Okay, so I met Brandon. So in my head, I always say Mr. Brandon, and I had to train myself to say Brandon.
Yeah?
Yes, as a kid. So when my kids attended Hilltop, we kind of ended up being super close because when I was finding out about my son being autistic, it was during a phase where he was not doing so well, and Mr. Brandon would call me every day. And it got to a point where I called him one night and I was like, listen, I'm going to have to get to know you because my son is going through some things and you know him very well and I know him very well, so we're going to work this out.
Wait, you said, tell me what's going on with my sweet baby boy.
I did.
Oh, wow.
I
That was a
literally
direct quote, wasn't it?
Listen, I called him.
I have
Yeah.
funny things to say.
Yes,
about that,
my
but I'm
sweet
not.
baby boy.
You're like, sweet, huh?
I don't understand what's going on with my sweet baby boy.
What is going
Oh,
on?
no.
I need you to break it down for me.
Yes.
And from that, we ended up talking about music because he found out I was singing, and I found out he was a singer, and it just blossomed from there.
Can we
And-
talk about that story real quick?
What?
Yeah.
Because that was funny. So
Yes.
Naja's like, hey, listen, if you guys need any volunteer stuff or anything like that, hey, I sing. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, right?
Okay.
Later on, I'm like, oh, this is like the Naja,
Oh my God.
right? The Naja Nicole. And so I was telling her, hey, I write. I don't even think I was telling you I sang. I just said I write. And she was like, uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
Literally.
So one day I decided to send her King of Glory, right? The slightly polished version of King of Glory.
Which is on the album?
Yeah.
Which is
Okay,
on the
gotcha.
album now.
Okay.
Yes.
And she's like, what the? Who?
I called you.
Where did you?
I called you and yelled at you. I yelled at him. I was
That was so funny.
listen.
But you never thought I was joking.
Yeah.
Because when you tell people that you sing or that you do anything artistic,
I rap,
oh my God, people come up to you. Oh yeah, because I'm trying to put up, and I've been trying to write these songs for 20 years now.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's cool. That's cool.
And because you were so nonchalant, yeah, right, and I was like,
That's definitely me. Yeah.
I was like, all right, great,
Yeah.
all right. So tell me about my son.
And then surprise.
And then I heard you sing, and sing well, and the
Thank
song
you.
was dope, and I was like, wait a minute, let's revisit this conversation. How did we get here?
Yes.
And speaking of King of Glory, this is the album.
Hello.
Jay, can you?
Yeah. I'm a little bright, but
So the album is called Glory Pages. And it is so good.
Thank you.
It is so good.
Thank you. That means
Yes.
a lot coming from the
Oh my
Naja
God.
Nicole.
oh, let me get a good close up on that. Right.
Yes.
Come on now.
It is available on all streaming platforms.
Yes, it is.
I chose to listen via Apple Music.
Thank you, sir.
And it takes you on a journey.
Good.
It definitely takes you on a journey. If you are a gospel fan, this is definitely a great album because it gives you different versions of gospel.
Okay.
You have the hip hop gospel, you have the classic gospel, you have the more pop gospel.
Yeah.
And I feel like this album encompasses all of that.
Wow.
And the staple is the way that you deliver your words and the message.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you don't listen to gospel, go listen to it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Whether you listen to gospel or not, I think this is it's a good body of work that just says, hey, like life has its ups and downs, but if you care to trust God, do it all.
Is this your first gospel album?
Yes, this is my first full-length gospel project.
Okay, and how long did it take you to get the whole? Because the first album can really take some time. You know what I'm saying?
And it did.
So
it really did.
Yeah.
I started this process, man, at least the writing process back in 2016, maybe 2017.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
did you know at that point that you were moving in towards an album? You just okay, cool.
Nope.
Gotcha.
I think it was just I have an incredible friend who just would let me come by and record songs, and I would write. I love the process of writing songs. Love the process of just being creative. And so I would come through, and he was just such a great producer. You'll see Nathan Hall all through this album, and he would just let me record over some music. And, you know, it was like, okay. Like,
was that your first time recording, period?
No, I tried it when I was like 15, 16.
I think we all at some point.
Oh, man, if I could have like the recordings of I was embarrassing myself.
No, but
like,
that's part of the process.
It was, but I was in there singing stuff I should be singing at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Anywho. So yeah, just the process of just getting in, writing, enjoying that process, and then realizing, hey, I have a collection of songs that could possibly make an album.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, the intentionality comes in, like, okay, let's actually make an album.
Yeah.
The thing was, when I got that intentionality to actually make an album, that's when the obstacles came. And it was like, you know, of course, there's some financial obstacles. You know, you spend out a lot of money paying, you know, either producers or paying for studio time. And, you know, I was lucking up for a little bit working with somebody. And then it was like I lost everything. Yeah. So if you're a new artist, make sure you get backups.
You mean you lost the music?
Oh yeah.
Did you have to start from scratch with that?
Yes.
I can't imagine that.
Yo, it
now we'll go home and save everything.
I can't imagine
save everything. Get you an external hard drive. Don't leave the session without getting your work. And people told me that before,
but not your day.
It sure did. But you know what though?
I can't stand it.
I came back stronger though. I came back stronger. And so I thank God. So there's lessons learned along the way. And hopefully this message alone of like, hey, make sure you save your work. Well, somebody be like, oh, you know what? I do need to do that. I do need to ask for my stems and everything when I go in there. But yeah, that was a rough time because
I can't imagine.
As an artist, you know, you take everything personally. Like you take your work personally. And so I was going in and I'm doing this work, and then to lose everything, I was like, okay, this is an indicator that I'm not good enough. This is the indicator that I'm not supposed to do this. I'll just stick with doing X, Y, and Z. And I've had like experiences like that. Like I've been to a church before where like a friend of mine asked me to go in his place, go to the church, sitting there waiting for them to pay me.
Oh God.
So I do my song. I do one song, and they called me up afterwards. This is the part of church like I really never care for. They called me up on that, you know, spooky spirituality and was like, you know, you're not a singer.
Oh my gosh.
But in a church.
I wish somebody
in a church. Listen,
oh my God!
In a church,
you got me. You shocked me. I'm taking 2 punches that I don't know how I would deal with. But
you're not a singer.
That's rough.
But you're going to go on to write good songs.
Okay.
I did both, snitches.
Number one, but hold on. Let me ask you this: don't name names, but like, what was the role of the person who made that comment?
It was probably the pastor, but here's the thing, though, right? Anybody can start a church. Anybody can say they're doing things, anybody can do things and claim that it's in there.
Can I get those donations?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, but we digress. But
you know what though? It was like these moments that I've had on this journey. they make me question how much do I really want this, right?
Okay, for sure.
And so
For sure.
what has been the biggest blessing to me, it hasn't been that I've almost sold out of all the CDs that I've purchased already. It's that people are messaging me on a weekly basis how much this album has blessed them. How much this album has helped them through a hard time. And so if I had given up and if I had stopped when I thought that I was receiving indicators that I shouldn't go further, then somebody could have missed out on their blessing.
I mean, that in itself is a huge spiritual lesson, right? I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely. So anytime that you proclaim that you want something, you're going to get a test to see how much you actually want it. That's why I'm not married. Next question.
Go
ahead, Naj. I've been running hard.
Oh my God. Okay, what is your favorite song on the album?
Woo! You gonna make me choose a favorite song on my album? You
gotta pick one. If you had to let somebody listen to one song and that's all they could listen to, which song would it be?
No, I can't.
You have to. You have to. We'll shut down the internet.
Turn off the lights.
Right.
No.
Not Teddy Pendergrass.
All right. So I will say this: my favorite song on the album that touches me emotionally.
Okay.
Is "Prodigal Child."
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It is a 2 minute.
Yes. It's too short.
It's a 2-minute Mike Tyson knockout.
Okay.
And it's just
it's beautiful.
I heard so this is another song that was produced by my great friend Nate Hall. And I listened to everything that Nate sends me. Nate sent me this song and it was called Tonight. And he had already written to it. He had already sang to it. Like this was his song. And I remember just having a regular day and being in my metacognitive mind. And I'm like,
so let me just stop you right now.
What?
We have a thing about.
No, you have a thing about. Let's be clear. Continue. There ain't no we.
We'll talk about this.
What I do?
What is
You use the word that she doesn't know. That's all.
So metacognition is just thinking about your thinking. So it's your thoughts about your thoughts.
Oh my God.
Yes.
All right.
But you do that. You think about how you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think many artists, if not all artists, are
have to.
Metacognition.
That's my next album's name.
Metacognition.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. So you're Magna.
Oh wow.
Magna Carta.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, that's where you are. So you're doing that with your brain.
Yes, and so I remember this song Tonight by Nate Hall, and I hit him up. I go, Nate, listen, I know that you've already done a lot, and he has already done a lot for this album. I said, I need to ask you for one more favor. It wasn't the last favor, but it was one more favor. But when you have people around you that believe in you and that are like, I call him Uncle Christmas because he's just, he's a very giving individual. And I was like, I need this song. And he was like, okay. He sent me over the instrumental. And I remember just like part of my writing process is being able to hear not just my thoughts, but what God wants me to say.
Okay.
And so I definitely remember just getting instructions like write how you feel about your situation or how it felt in my situation right now, which my situation was my youngest goddaughter. Like I have 3 goddaughters that I treat like my own, and their years of growing up, and they're older now, 19 and 21. Twins. That's why I only named 2 ages. And so I had lost my relationship with the youngest one over just her wanting to go and just live her life and just do her thing. And so that was really hard because you guys know, like, number one, I love working with kids, but these kids weren't just any kids. They were my babies. And so losing the relationship with her, it was like, because of like her just wanting to do her own thing, it reminded me of how the relationship and the connection between God and us, right? When we choose our own way over what God has called us to be obedient to, it's gotta feel some kind of way. It's like, come on, like you're missing your potential. Come on, you can do much better. And so I'm writing these feelings, and it just came out to be something that's a song that I can barely get through, starting with lyrics like, I gave a lot to make you smile and hopes we never fall apart.
Yeah.
That's very real relationship type stuff.
Especially with children.
Yes, absolutely. And so just to answer your question that you asked 20 minutes ago, that's my favorite song on the album. To me.
So I have the utmost respect for gospel musicians. I think that you could argue neck and neck that either jazz or gospel musicians are at the top, you know, and I think the gospel musicians kind of are strongest when it comes to just getting a feeling out of you, you know, and jazz musicians are more kind of academic. They're both, you know, super versatile. But I say all that to say, you know, how would you describe your brand of gospel music? You know what I mean? Sorry, that was
no, that's fine. Because I think about this often as an artist. I think, in short, I am a new age devotional singer. You know, a lot of my songs are vertical praise songs. It's directly to God. That's why this is called the Glory Pages, because it is really about glorifying God and just doing what we're designed to do. I grew up in a church where, like, it was just.
You from Delaware?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. We had my grandfather was a preacher. Bowdoin UAME Church. It was the family church, and the kids were the singers, and you know, and so
you're steeped in it. Okay.
Right. So growing up in that, and so I grew up listening to the old hymns, you know, and grew up admiring my aunts and uncles sing songs like Sweeping Through the City and Last Mile of the Way. And that's what I knew. And there was no teaching parts. It was, you got on.
You knew this. Yep.
You got in there.
Get your tail
and
up there.
You found your part.
Yep.
And that was great. I think that was great training for me. And then, you know, later on, I went to a non-denominational church and just helped, like, you know, Candy Hymn just helped develop my ear even more. So it was just, but church has always been just a big part of my life. And I think as an artist, I'll never stop paying homage to the hymns and the song, you know, those spirituals.
It's
that really,
one of the great American traditions. There's no way to deny that. That's for sure.
It's so funny because Jay talks about how one thing he always talks about is his music career came later.
Okay.
And he joined the Glee Club. I'm sitting while you're sitting.
No, go ahead.
So he joined the Glee Club and he did gospel music. And Jay does, like, his music is, to me, is very much like bluesy. It has hip hop feel. It has he's got different genres, but when you hear him sing gospel, you would think that he grew up in church.
I did.
No, but like
not like you, not at the level.
Like him.
There are levels, but
I know that, but I'm saying, like, you were in the choir, you was doing the thing.
According to Najee, you was never in church.
Let's be honest.
You was in the back while they was having service.
Well, that is actually, you know what I'm saying? That's fair. You know what I'm saying?
See? Okay.
That's fair.
Oh my God. But you always talk about, like, even when we're doing Black Joy, you know, that him in the beginning.
Yeah, no, it's fundamental, and I really, I'm saying American music for a very good reason, because I don't want to go all the way down that, but like it is uniquely American. Black people here made gospel music here in America, and so I always have respect and praise for anyone who sings that genre, because it is the best part of Blackness. You know what I'm saying? It's the best part of America. So,
and to be able to
to do it properly. And I don't mean that in a to really do it from here. Everyone can't do it. You can sing the right notes, but when you really deliver it, it's not, the notes matter, but the delivery does more. And you know that. So.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I mean, if I'm singing gospel music and I'm not in my word, and I'm not connecting with God, I'm not praying, I'm not doing it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not doing it right.
Do you know when you're in the right space or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also times where you just have to show up.
Yes.
And so I've always, and I heard, I can't claim this to be my own quote. And pastor I was under years ago said this, and it just never left me. He said, the enemy will always remind you of who you're, or always try to tell you who you're not, but God will always remind you who you are, right? You go through the Bible and you see God working with people who show up.
Yeah. No. 100%.
Not hey, you're not this, and so I can't do anything with you. It's no, you showed up, you had a willing spirit.
Yeah.
And so I'll use what you have.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of stuck in this place right now. I'm actually interested. So like, to your point, you know, how many, I mean, talk about the experience, because I'm sure that there have been Sunday mornings where you show up and you're tired and have no desire to be there, but you just show up and then it's there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's this process. So we're talking about singing on Sunday mornings, praise and worship, right?
You do it every Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, every Sunday that I can. When I can't, I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I would say quick shout out to my church, because when I decided I'm not going to sing, I got the same exact treatment than when I do sing.
Oh.
And I love that.
What do you mean?
So there was a time where I was like, hey, I'm not like, I'm going to take a break from singing.
Okay.
I'm going to take, and just not even just singing at the church. Like, I'm going to take a break from singing. Like, sometimes in music ministry, things don't always go the way that it should. But things gonna work for the good. Okay. No, but so I was like, hey, listen, I'm just gonna step down for a little bit. I want to tell you, my pastors and my church treated me with the same level of love.
Okay, got you.
When I'm on stage. And so and that's the type of people that you need, that you got to be under. Like, those are the type of people that you respect. But no, getting up on a Sunday morning, you know, there's a lot that people don't see. There's a lot of, you know, getting in there and making sure that your voice is right. And there's the mental push. That's what's really, really hard about Sunday mornings, is when you have a congregation that is as stale as stock, as and dry as old bread. Like, you're like, come on, like, let's get in there. But I will say this: you never know what people are getting from what you're putting out. Right. And so if we know a God that can do a lot with a seed, then all we have to do is sow.
Yeah. No, I just love the idea of, like, I just, even just as speaking about artistry, like, the most important thing is showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just show up. Yeah. So I really appreciate you saying that, you know?
How old are you?
Was that on the list that we said?
You didn't know. We asked you. You didn't. You said everything was cool.
I mean, but I have a reason for asking that. Because you're young.
Relatively.
You're young. You young.
Relatively.
You was young folk.
I was young 15 years ago.
Well.
No, I'm 38.
Okay, so you young.
Yeah.
What can you say about the youth in church, like our generation? Like, what do you think is happening?
Not your generation, lower, right? Like younger than that. I mean,
no, my generation is we're having trouble.
But you're in your 30s. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sorry.
Dang.
Sorry, I just thought you were thinking more about kids. You know what I'm saying? Because you said kids. You're not a kid. You said kids.
I said youth.
You're not. No, you're not the youth. You're not. I'm sorry. You're not. The youth is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 max.
You look good, girl.
You look good, but that's not the youth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Younger people.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
So honestly, you can ask that about any generation, because people are, in general, finding themselves and choosing themselves over church.
And here's real quick, why I said that is because I'm considered youth at my church. That, like, because I'm one of the youngest people doing things in the church,
You mean
considered young
relatively?
folk.
I see what you're saying.
Yes, that's
okay.
what I mean.
Okay. I mean, to be 30 and say you're youth, come on now.
Listen, when they say stand up, young folk, and they tell me to stand up, I'm like,
I get it.
I'm not quite there, but
yeah.
Okay, but I'm the youngest in a ministry.
I get that.
In a church, and they're, a lot of churches are older because there's nobody having babies, and so there you go. Yep.
Y'all all right?
So, speaking specifically about youth, I'm going to definitely jump into your work at Hilltop.
That's what.
So, number one, do you have do you have at least like a psychological tie to what you do there and with your music and the church and all that kind of stuff, or do you separate?
Yeah. Every day's the same. Like, you're going to get the same me on Monday that you get on Sunday.
I'm saying I
do get what you're saying.
Cool.
I get what you're saying because it all ties into give what you have.
Okay.
And so for me, it's the same as when I'm up there and I'm singing in church, and I know that there's a couple out there who is struggling emotionally because they can't have a baby, and then you have in the community atmosphere, you have a young family who that a couple of kids are struggling because they know that at home life isn't the best.
Yeah,
but you give what you have. So if that's hugs, if that's advice, if that's some note, like whatever it is, like I believe in being completely unselfish with your gifts.
I can attest that is very true.
Thank you.
Yes, I've seen you interact with other families, and I see that, and that's beautiful.
So
Thank you, young Naja.
Saved it. Nope.
Dang, man.
She's so young and wise.
She saved the youth.
I'm a young whippersnapper, okay? I'm a spring chicken. I'm the egg during Easter.
The church said if you don't have gray stretch marks, you're still young. All right, I'm sorry. I'm back.
Yeah. So how did you end up working at Hilltop and just with young people in general?
Great question. So I've actually been in this field. Ooh, I thought there was a dagger just right past me. Oh my Lord. Did we pray yet? Did we pray? I don't think we should pray.
Thank you so much.
My Lord. So I like working with the babies. I have been in this field since I was 16 years old. So
oh wow. In what capacity at 16?
So I started out actually being a peer educator for a nonprofit organization, teaching youth about safe sex, HIV prevention, STD prevention. Absolutely. And then right around the same time I was working at a daycare.
Okay.
So I've just been doing this, in the field of either education and community for 20 plus years.
Okay.
Yeah. By the time that I got to Hilltop, or right before I got to Hilltop, I had already been doing sessions there. So I was teaching classes on character building, just in and out under the former director of youth and recreation. And then when I was working, I would say in 2017, I started working for an organization called Jobs for Delaware Graduates.
Oh yeah.
Right,
absolutely.
So JDG,
that's a great program. That's a great program.
JDG.
Yes,
JDG.
Okay, so but they really change lives. Like I know so many people with and it's yes.
Let's go. And job fair at Del Tech. On March 26th. Shameless plug. That's the collaboration between Hilltop and JDG. The first collaboration we've ever done. We're making some stuff happen. So yes, job fair for the high school students, March 26th at Del Tech and Stanton campus, starting at 5:30. Okay, back to the question. What was the question?
How did you get to Hilltop?
How did I get to Hilltop? So I'm working for JDG.
I can't believe you remember the question. I never remember that.
That's that young man.
The youth. The youth. We were saved by the youth. You know,
My
I'm just running with this for the rest of the night, just so you know.
My relatively young mind forgot, but she remembered. No, this is why they don't let me out. This is why they don't let me out.
Oh man.
So young and wise.
Wow, thank you so much. Both y'all getting blocked.
What? I didn't even do anything. I said you was young.
So yeah, how did you get to Hilltop?
How did I get to Hilltop? This is for the third time. This is what old people
I know,
do.
yes.
They start a story.
When you got your first group of 30-year-old youth, how did you approach them? So that young, malleable 31-year-old mind comes to you and is like, how do I begin to live my life? And then
well,
what do you
young
say?
whippersnapper, let me tell you what to do. Get your credit right. The rest will fall into place.
Yes.
Love God, get your credit right. The rest will fall into place. All right.
Yes.
So listen, so I started working for JDG. JDG, great program. They encourage you to follow up with your students for the summertime. Not a problem. I knew one of my students was going to Hilltop. So I hit up the former director and I was like, hey, can I stop through and just check my student out? Not a problem. But hey, are you looking for a job? Nah, not really. Not really. Like, I'm doing all right where I am. But I'll make some extra money. And so I started as a camp counselor.
That's great.
I went in my interview and said I wanted to work with teens. They said, cool. First day of work, we go on a field trip.
So now I'm jealous. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second, but go ahead.
We go on a field trip.
Yeah.
They give me all the kids that don't nobody. All right, never mind. Moving on. So these ain't the teens. These are not these babies are in the second grade. But it has been a blessing to go from being a camp counselor to just even being considered for the deputy director position.
That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump. But it was nice because there were other jobs that I have done really well and looked to do more and look to elevate in and just got overlooked. And so it was like, this organization sees value in me. And I'm not looking for it.
But I mean, I've just really met you really today. And it is befuddling to me that someone would not immediately recognize, your sincerity and sort of charisma for people. Because it's very, I've worked with kids all my life too. So I can spot, it take one, real, recognize real, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's the same idea. I'm like, no, this guy knows, I can just tell. So that's wild to me.
Saying other organizations and companies overlook you.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. Okay.
But in fairness, I valued talent over dealing with, I'm not the greatest at dealing with adults. I don't have the greatest capacity for, man, I don't like the dumb stuff. Man. I really don't. It's certain things I'm like, all right, you're dumb. I will tell you this because I'm still this way to this day, and I know that God is working on my heart. I am. I'm not going to lie to you.
With that.
I know God's work. When someone shows me a lack of integrity, it is the biggest turnoff, and all I want to do is distance myself from you. And in the professional world,
yes, especially with kids, because I could ramble, but So that's how I got to Hilltop. I'm blessed to be there. It's ups and downs like every other job, but I will say that this community just has a lot of heart and care for people, and it's a beautiful thing to see in an age and in a day where things can be so political. That you forget to take care of people. Like there's so much red tape and don't go here and don't do that. And these are our bylaws and this. And listen, man. Yes.
Yeah. And we're at an organization where it's like, how can we best
take what you mean I can't hug that kid?
Right.
That kid needs a hug. Come on, man. Oh, well, fire me.
And it gets crazy. Right. It gets crazy sometimes because that stuff tries to creep in, right? You have people that don't have the best of intentions that are always, that can occupy positions. And we see that everywhere, right? Where people who claim that they're allies, they're really not allies.
Right.
They're just occupying a position.
Yeah.
And so when it's time to actually work with the community's looking at them like, I think this is just your hobby that you're getting paid for. This isn't your passion.
So as you said that, because my brain is turning back on now, like I've had a long day. So she's gonna barf at this one, right? But it's really funny. I'm gonna tell a horrible joke. You know what I'm saying? I thought they were an ally, but really they were all lies. I got you now.
I'm really sorry about this.
No.
I really thought that this interview was going to go
Oh
a
no!
certain
All right,
way.
I'll just everyone.
I really did think it was going to be a certain way, and he completely ruined it.
He said, the emancipation of my proclamation will not be my dictation. Hear me, nation, when I say I will not be proliferated.
My God. You know what?
I'm not allowed out anymore.
Y'all are not allowed together anymore.
I'm sorry.
Like, there's no more
When you
together.
said ally, something spoke to my spirit.
This is why they don't let me out. This is why they don't let me out of the house.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a question.
What's up?
How do you switch from, or is there a switch from artist to educator?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what is that?
I think it's realizing that artistry will focus on the performance. Not as a whole artist, like I am who I am day in, day out, but I think artistry allows you to be a little bit more self-indulgent and self-centered, and it's the antithesis of what you're supposed to be in an environment where you're caring for these babies. Like what you went through doesn't matter when you walk through those doors, because who they need you to be is what matters.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. How did you know, or when did you know that your relationship with God was your own relationship with God and not what someone told you it was?
At a young age, honestly. No. "30 years young, 30 years young, 30 years young, 30 years
I
young.
thought we were friends.
Don't let nobody tell you the 30 ain't young. Oh, 30 is young, y'all. 30 is young.
You just insulted me. Y'all just sang and beatbox and clap.
Oh, I said I'm
me.
relatively young and I'm older than you are. So I think if we look back on the tape, we'll see I've been supportive of your youngness this whole time. What was the question again? I forgot. Old mind.
Oh, I said.
You're talking about. No, go ahead.
I said, how did you know that your relationship with God was yours and not what someone told you it was?
Oh yeah. So at a young age, I think, of course, there's a difference between going to church and having a relationship with God.
Yes.
However, I think at a young age, the Word of God was the most invigorating thing for me. Like just watching somebody else preach. I'm telling you, y'all gonna laugh at me, but when I played with toys when I was younger,
you was preaching.
they was churching.
Really?
Them toys.
No, I'm not at that level.
Them toys was churching.
Yeah.
When I was in daycare, I was on the steps preaching at 2 years.
Really?
Listen.
Okay.
And so it's always been a part of me.
Okay.
But I have just been able to develop it more, where understanding that I saw this in a book where it was like your relationship with God is an actual relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's possible to be unfaithful in that relationship. So I've had moments of being unfaithful in my relationship with God, but God is still there. God is still there. And so recognizing like after all this time, like because that look back be something dangerous. When you look back and you like, after all this time, you're still providing for me. Like you still love me. You're still mindful of me. How can I give you more? Right? Like you guys are married. I'm not, but you guys are married. In your respective marriages, in your respective relationships, when your spouse does something that pours into your cup, or when they demonstrate their consistency for you, when you look on that, you go, I can love you more in this moment, right? Because of who you are consistently. So for me, it's like that with God. Like I just want to be more faithful, knowing you've been consistently faithful to me.
So we actually already kind of touched on it a little bit, but you know, I'm very curious to know, number one, what you see with children who are like, you know, really from like 10 years through like 16, like how you see them respond to gospel music. And, you know, it's a two-part question, I guess. And I'm interested in knowing how you think we can keep young people connected to gospel music, because like I said, even though I'm not a gospel singer, I have a deep appreciation for the music. You know what I'm saying? I don't want those traditions to die.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to find them one way or the other, right? Music is going to find our babies, they're going to find our adults one way or the other. They're going to come across something. But I would say the biggest thing that we can do to engage our youth in one, gospel culture, believing culture, loving God culture, is to be the example.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so for my babies that I talked about earlier, every single last one of them has sent me a message over the past 3 to 6 months saying, I want to go to church. Right. But when they were younger, when they were between that 10 to 16 age, man, they was fighting me. When I had them for the weekends, they was fighting me on going to church. But guess what? Consistently in my car, we play gospel. They've watched me pray. The time that they convinced me to stay in on New Year's Eve and not go to church, guess what? One was reading the Bible, one was praying, we was singing. Like it was just like, you have to know, if you're dealing with me, this is a part of my, not just my brand, but my personhood. Yeah. And so when someone sees that consistently, it's like, okay, I know I can ask you a question about this. If Jay, if every time I see you, you got a new pair of sneakers on.
Right. You know something about sneakers. Right.
Then I trust you to know something about sneakers. Yeah. And so it's the same thing with serving God. Is if I got a question about Jesus or the Holy Spirit, I'm gonna ask somebody
That's my guy. Right.
I'm gonna ask somebody who demonstrates that they have been a part of that culture. Yeah. Not just for fashion, not just for show, but like really live that stuff out. Yeah. And so honestly, if we cannot talk about the youth unless we talk about their parents. And what's happening is our parents, and this is really my strong opinion, I don't care how popular or unpopular it is, we are sending our kids out into the world spiritually naked because we're not covering them with prayer. We're not telling them about the word. We're not telling them what to go to when they feel like they're overwhelmed. And so they're just going to be out there, and then they're going to grow to be that generation or those adults that just don't believe in anything but themselves, and it's wondering why life isn't working out the way that they wanted to.
I can dig it 100%.
What do you say to like, because like you said, it'll get to them at some point, right? It'll show up somewhere. So when we're looking at our gospel artists or our preachers and ministers in the media and something has gone wrong, right? A scandal, and the kids see that, how do we change their mind when they're like, oh, well, they're all corrupt or they're all like this? Like, how can we keep them from feeling betrayed in a sense?
It's a great question. And it's a really loaded question because the way that we treat the church isn't the same way that we treat the mall or the hospital or the school or any other institution that we go into. The expectations is that church leaders are supposed to be perfect. There's no man that's perfect.
Yeah.
There was only one man that was perfect, and he was fully human and fully divine. Y'all probably gonna kick me off after this.
No. Never.
But so for as many churches that are doing it wrong, there may be 10 other churches for that one church that's doing it right. But what makes you stop? What makes you stop your journey? If they see you pressing on, it doesn't matter if they stopped momentarily. They'll keep pressing on at some point because you're the example. I think when we try to make them believe or make them see things this way, that's manipulation, and that has no place in religion.
So to your point, I think it's all about the idea of showing somebody your actual actions versus saying do this.
Absolutely.
And anytime I'm talking about one thing, I like to step outside of it and kind of I think that's why metaphors are powerful. So, I could spend a whole lot of time telling kids, don't use auto-tune and you should sing like this. You know what I'm saying? You need to sing this way and you should do that and don't do that. Cool. There's a place for that, but show up, sing the heck out of something, and then they get it and they want to do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, oh, that singing?
Right.
That was cool.
Right.
I want to do that. So I don't know, but give me some more of that food. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't eat McDonald's, but also have this home cooked meal from Miss Naja. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is like, that's why we're not going to eat. Okay, cool. Give me a good alternative. You know what I mean?
You know what I love about the connection between being an artist and working with youth is the mandate for authenticity.
Yes.
Because
they know. Like, you sound some BS right now. They know if you like them. They know all of the things.
Absolutely.
Yes. Like I'll start ranting again. But yes, they know.
Yes. So I walk into any environment with the opportunity to be authentic. I don't have to be anybody but me. My concert, to me, that was my Grammys. Like, I'm not asking for anybody else's award.
Yeah.
Like, what's coming back and people are saying that they were blessed from the album or this really touched their heart. Like, that's the reward for me. Because that lets me know that after all the pushing, after all the work, after all the money spent, and we're talking about over $10,000 spent.
Yeah.
I could have finished school by then, but I was pushing for this album. God got the glory. Everything that he instructed me to do, I did. And he was glorified. There's nothing else for me to do.
Except make another album.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like, okay, I guess, and I don't know, but I'm sort of assuming that maybe there's a little bit of difference in terms of the promotional process of a gospel album versus like a traditional pop album. I don't know if it's similar.
I'm horrible at that.
But so my point is that I'm assuming that to a degree right now you're sort of in an album release, performing, getting it out there mode. But like, are you writing again now? Like, are you already plotting your next sort of recordings?
Always.
So you just stay in that space.
Man.
Okay.
Always plotting. I'm always plotting, but I'm resting right now.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I did the album release February 24th. We're not even at March 24th yet.
Right.
So I'm taking this time and, people are finding out, oh, hey, like, you got an album out. Cool. That's cool. And everything's just really just been cool. Like, I'm not pushing like, hey, I got to sell this in order to make my rent. Like, no, God provides.
Right.
So that's really what it's been. Everything has just been cool right now. I'm balancing resting. I'm balancing making sure that the next move is an authentic move and it's a move that God has called me to do and not something that I'm in the hype about you know, oh, they was feeling this, so I'm gonna do this again.
Right.
No, God, where do you want me to go with this?
Right.
Because honestly, there's only one way for it to work out well for me, and that's for me to be obedient.
Right.
Random question, not that random. How do you feel about gospel rap?
I love gospel rap.
Okay, cool. Just curious.
He has a song that has like a hip hop feel to it, and
Okay.
I thought when I first heard it, I thought you was going. I was like, don't, because this wasn't one of the ones you had let me hear. So
You
I was
said
like,
don't rap. Don't you rap on
no,
that
not
album,
don't. But I was
boy.
like, keep it. I was waiting.
I might.
And you had
I might one day.
an EDM type.
Let's
Yes.
do it. All right. So yeah, the next album or the next project has already, like, I've already started planning for this.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm just going to be obedient.
Yeah.
Do you connect with a lot of gospel artists?
What do you mean, like connect
Like,
in person or just listening to a lot of gospel music?
In person.
No.
Okay. Why?
Interesting.
Are there not a lot? Like, I can understand that there are people who sing gospel, but to be a gospel artist is different. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, I'm busy.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Who are some of your, like, give me 5 favorite gospel artists?
Are you doing a top 5?
I mean, you can do 10, 7, whatever. 9 is that holiest number? I don't know, but like whatever you.
Keep it holy.
Right.
So you said top 5 gospel artists.
I mean, stop where you want to stop, but like, give us the list of like your,
So I'll list whatever comes to mind as far as the influence of gospel music. Of course, as a young one, Kirk Franklin was definitely someone that just was like, oh, like you can make this music relative, right? Especially coming from an older church where it was just mostly hymns. It was like, oh, like this is like I like this sound. And then you go deeper and you go, oh, this brother's writing. Like he's getting it in with his pen. So I would definitely say Kirk. I love Myron Butler. Marvin Winans. I love his tone.
Okay.
Like Myron Butler, Dave Hollister, like their tones to me are like my favorite to listen to. It's a richness about it that you can't duplicate. And I think with just Black music in general, you want a sound that not everybody's going to try to duplicate.
Right.
Who else? I mean, I've listened to I've listened to Shirley Caesar, to Mary, to Kiara Shear, to like I love a little bit of everybody.
Cool.
Right.
How do you feel about the Hillsong type stuff?
I think because it's not what I've grown up listening to.
Okay.
It never really caught me like that. There are some songs I'm like, oh, that feels very genuine. It's more like Christian contemporary music.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they have so they do, when I went to one in LA.
Okay.
And they'll do like pop-up church in different cities. Well, they were at that time. Have you ever been to a service?
No.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, it's like poppy contemporary Christian.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but sorry.
Yeah. And I think it has its place.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like
definitely.
It's something that, somebody in Nebraska is like, yes, I found
Get you a
Jesus.
good acoustic guitar.
Oh Lord. No, I'm joking. I play too much. I really do. That's why they don't let me out the house. But yeah, so I would say, every artist, what I've learned is 1, the recording process is not easy.
Oh. Yeah.
2, I might not be for everybody, but I might be for somebody. And so it may be the same for someone. So I'll never be like, oh, their music is trash, blah, 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 blah. No, it's for somebody.
Yeah.
Just might not be for me. And so not every genre, not every branch of Christian music is for me. But I know what hits my heart is good writing.
Yeah.
And it's not even always the greatest notes, but just good placement of notes. I like that.
Where can we find you if we need to book you for a church gig or we want to book you for a concert?
Oh, okay. So my manager's name is Shannon Lolly.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Shannon.
Cool.
Shannon Lolly, yes.
Hey to the Lolly brothers.
Listen, appreciate you, good brother. And he can be located at 3gmanagement@gmail.com. So you can reach out to him and say, I want that young brother in the blue shirt. That crazy young man in a blue shirt. He comes in my church.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
letting us interview you.
Thank you, young Naja.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
And thank you for your
guys.
service to our children.
Oh,
Yes.
it is an honor and an absolute pleasure. And these
Yes.
babies, they will humble you and teach you a lot. And
Yes.
so it's a great you want your gift of patience activated.
Woo.
Work with the young babies. But if you don't have it, stay away from my babies.
If you
please.
struggle with authenticity, stay in front of
Stay-
the
Yes.
Stay away.
Yes.
Stay away. Stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your lane.
Listen.
Yeah.
Real quick,
What's
I just want to say, when I was going through the diagnosis process for Sunsun,
Okay.
you said to me, ask every question.
Yes. Yes.
He was like, don't take the initial as what it is. Ask every question and
Yes.
understand fully. So,
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes. Oh.
Make sure you
Best friend.
Best friend. Get your shirts.
Oh yeah,
Get your
t-shirts,
CDs.
$20.
He's showing them at the back of his car.
Sure am. You see the red Camry, college your boy.
The glory pages. Okay, go listen to King of Glory.
Yes.
That is my favorite.
I'm glad.
That was the first one I heard. That one.
That
I know all
was.
the parts. I know all the parts.
You don't. You don't.
We'll see you soon. We love you for watching.
See y'all.
Bye.
Thank y'all for having me.